Again, I dare you. I double dare you, mother.
Get busy living. You get busy dying.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. And here we go.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Maloof. With me, as always, my co-host, Dante Troina. Dante, talking Daredevil this weekend, season finale. What do you think?
My boy, he's back. I think we got into a good position, especially at the end of this episode, where I think they've really like season point five, maybe not season one here, kind of established what we're going to be seeing going forward. I think the show has very much embraced that they want Daredevil in this show, and they want to be a Daredevil show, believe it or not. So I had a good time with this episode. I think we just talked about it right before, just talking about our little thoughts, and a lot of stuff happened. So a lot of stuff to digest here. What'd you feel about it?
Yeah, I liked it overall. Like I said last week, I was not really a big fan of last week's episode. Just I didn't like the pacing or didn't really like much about how that episode felt. This episode felt a lot better to me. It's action packed, so I think it's more engaging just in that respect. I liked all the fight scenes. I liked all of the action we were getting. It felt like stuff was actually moving. Like we had a reason for things to happen, which I was pretty happy about. It felt like there was actually some propulsion leading into the next season, which is a little frustrating just because it's the last episode of the season, right when we're actually building to something. But I think you could have predicted that. This whole first season has kind of just been, we kind of fucked it up, but we're going to end strong. And hopefully season two will really be what we're trying to do.
Well, I want to see this show. Like, I want to see the show that they're promising now.
Yes.
And that's what's frustrating to me too, is like, I think now with the show settled, I think we can see where the bad hand was dealt. Like, we'll get into Karen in this episode, but like as soon as she hits the screen, it's like they were going to do a show without her, like she's so integral, to this show. And really they didn't set up any of the side characters in her place either. So, they got back to the basics while also adding like a complex storyline that's going on. I think this was one of the most Daredevil episodes we've had. I like Mayor Kingpin. I don't think he's Mayor Fisk anymore. I think he's Mayor Kingpin now.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever's going on with him is just awesome. Encouraging, not condoning what's going on. The power outage, going into Punisher, Matt, some Karen stuff in there too, and just kind of fun to see how episode 1 and episode 8 and 9 fit together as opposed to the rest of the middle of the season, because I think there's very much a story the new directors wanted to tell with 1, 8, and 9, and Foggy's death having a little bit more of an impact on the season, which it should.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Do you want to just get it right into the episode?
Yeah, I mean, you should just start us off here, I think.
Cool.
What do you got?
I think let's just walk through it really quick, and I want to get to some general thoughts about the season afterwards. But we get Dex in rehab. We get a mention of Agent Nadeem, our boy, R.I.P. Something I never thought they'd do in this show. But mentioning Agent Nadeem, who passed away in the third season, the FBI scandal. We get the official confirmation that Vanessa ordered the hit on Foggy. And I really like Vanessa in this last episode. I think she's the most Vanessa we've had. It feels like something Vanessa, like a natural arc now with her.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed her performance here. I think it was something I was really critical about throughout the season, and it felt like she fit back into the puzzle here, which I liked. We get Matt. We do some intercutting after the opening credits, and I like the intercutting in this episode. I think they let both scenes breathe in the intercutting, where it didn't feel like they were jarring you back and forth and like, look at the parallels, look at the parallels. It was very much like, hey, there's two things going on right now, and with the power outage and situation that we're thrown into, the intercutting plays off that really well because it shows a lot of stuff happening at once. And we get Matt calling Heather Karen.
Right.
What'd you think about that moment?
I don't know. I kind of forgot that happened. Yeah. Yeah.
This
That'll be
episode is
interesting.
stuffed. This episode is stuffed to the brim. Again, like you said, like you forgot that happened, but that was just such a funny opening. I think it is like an afterthought at the end of the episode because of everything that goes on.
Yeah, there's so much happening that was easy
so
to miss,
much.
easy to forget about.
But I think it's so funny, Matt saying like, I just heard the gun and I reacted. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Or I heard somebody say gun and I
Yeah.
reacted. Like,
It's
I
such
reacted by
bullshit.
jumping right in front of Fisk.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I love that they're just like whatever. And him ripping into like Vanessa ordered the hit, da la la, and Karen or not Karen. See me mistaking
Uh-huh.
it too. Heather's right there, just like, oh my God, he's just off the deep end. I think their relationship is officially done.
It
I
yeah, well, especially with her joining Fisk's cabinet at the end of the
yeah,
episode. I think yeah, the relationship is definitely done now.
especially with that, I'm curious to see if they do use her in future seasons because I think she's kind of on an interesting path right now, like a very welcome arc that I think would suit her for some side scenes and her character. But also if she disappears, I wouldn't be heartbroken. I think it's a pretty fine performance by the actor. I think it's the most interesting Heather Glenn's ever been. I like when she goes right back into comic book Heather Glenn when she goes in the corner and starts like tearing up at Matt just being a psychopath because that's what she is in the comics. She's someone that doesn't know that Matt's Daredevil and she's just torn apart by it. Like,
Mm.
who's this psychotic guy I fell in love with in Daredevil? I like that McDuffie had a little bit of a presence there, at least being there for Matt when he was there. Like, okay, that feels natural. They're trying to make the side characters fit into this. Feels like a little bit too little, too late, but I think going forward, hopefully they can flesh out some of the side characters a bit more. We get an intercutting with Fisk and Vanessa. Vanessa says she orders the hit. Kingpin knows. So it's a very direct violation of the end of season 3 where Matt says you will never pursue Karen Page or Foggy Nelson or
Yep.
Vanessa and you will go back to prison and Kingpin does not respect that rule whatsoever. So I think it's interesting that they are playing off the arcs. I think a lot of this show, Cody, was trying so hard to ignore some of the Netflix show, but keep the same casting, and that's just flawed logic. That's spitting in your face.
But
That's
now it feels like in this episode they're bringing a lot
yeah.
of it back,
It
which I
feels
thought was
like
interesting.
the old directors were saying something, and I know the quote from like a year ago where they're saying that it's we want to do something different with it, and it's like okay, I get that, but you can't do something different with the same exact actors and characters and in the same progression and how they set up in this. And then the new directors are like, yeah, Daredevil, you mean the masterpiece on Netflix for 3 seasons? Yeah, we like that
Hmm.
show.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the building blocks off of that. Just in the first couple minutes of these episodes. One of my favorite scenes of the episode is Fisk yelling at the cops in the room and the police commissioner, encouraging that there will be no body cams, roads closed, no due process, no
Uh-huh.
warrants, no nothing. And Sheila says they need a disaster of a great proportion, and Fisk, Sheila, your concerns are noted.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I thought she was gonna like get out
Yeah,
of there, right? It seemed
yeah,
to me like she was just gonna be. She seemed in way over her head at that point, and I think she figured that this is going in a direction where I don't want to be a part of it. But then
yeah,
we get her like betraying the police commissioner and totally
yeah.
kind of like turning to the dark side, being conflicted about it. But ultimately, she just chose to, I think, save her own skin there and use the police commissioner to kind
Yeah,
of get her
I
some
think she knows
trust.
there's no way out at this point, right? Like if you go out, you're not going to be surviving into the next couple days. So I think she while I don't love the choice by her, it was the right choice, and I think it fits the script really well too, and put Sheila in an interesting predicament going into season 2 too. And I think it's something that like we'll get our 5-10 lines an episode from Sheila, and it'll have just a little more weight to it going into season 2. So cool for them for giving her just a bit of something to do in this last episode. Like I feel like they found something for everyone to do in
I
this episode
agree.
too, which
Yeah.
was except for Cherry, which I'm fine with. Um,
He's a part of the team though at the end, which I want to get to, I
oh,
guess, later. But
we'll get into that. But even Buck, Fisk sends Buck to kill Matt in
uh-huh.
the hospital and says, it wouldn't it be unfortunate if our lawyer,
Succumb to
like
his
he's
injuries.
succumbed to his injuries, this poor guy. And I think Fisk is just ruthless in this episode. Like he is full on, again, I said it, but like Mayor Kingpin. Like he is
Yeah.
doing all that he has in both pockets of his power, the criminal and the mayor side. And it's pretty impressive to watch. He very much has the upper hand this entire episode. Um, but going into Buck, he's no Wesley. I like that they gave him something to do in this episode. He has the teddy bear in the bag going into the hospital. the power goes out and Matt's out of there. So a failed hit on Daredevil there. We get into Matt's apartment, Cody, and our boy's back.
Yep.
Bernthal, the Punisher, he's there. What do you think about that scene?
Yeah, it was great. It's always fun having him back, and it just feels like I was going to be really mad if we didn't see him again. Besides that one episode
Right.
where he had obviously been kind of reinserted into the show. So yeah, it was fun to have him back. Some nice banter between him and Daredevil, and then we get a pretty fun fight scene too when Fisk's
Yeah.
kind of his rogue militia, his anti-vigilante task force shows up to kill them.
They
I liked where they had a because it's always kind of the conflict between Punisher and Daredevil when they're fighting together is Punisher will kill people and Daredevil is not
right.
supposed to kill
He's
anyone.
a liability.
But Punisher doesn't give a fuck, and he just eventually
No.
just killing all the cops, and he's like, we get a line where I thought it was a little bit of weird ADR
At the beginning.
where Daredevil goes, Frank, no. And then Frank just continues to kill everybody. Like they had to throw that in there to like remind. They're like, oh, we forgot to have Matt objecting to this, right?
Right.
But yeah, it was a fun fight scene overall. I liked Frank kind of getting to confront the cop wearing the Punisher logo, right? And
Yeah.
we find out that it was that police officer who killed Hector Ayala.
Yep. Cole North.
Yeah, and then we get a scene later where Punisher 2 gets to confront like all of the task force all wearing their Punisher
Oh well,
gear, and
I have a lot to say about that.
uh-huh.
I had a great time with Punisher in this episode. All in all, I think Bernthal and Deborah Ann Wool just stole this episode. I think there's a reason why they should have been in this entire season almost because they're just such welcome additions, and I think they create someone that Matt can bounce off of so effortlessly at this point. And these actors, like, they're just so good, man. Like they just fit so well into these roles. Whenever they're there, they just slip right back into their character, and when they're gone, you really do feel their absence. So, just bravo for bringing them back in this episode. The banter with Punisher saying, "What are you like a nightgown man or something?"
Yeah.
was great. You have no cup of coffee in the blackout. Like I think just the banter with all of them. I'm not playing patty cake with these fanboys. I'm chopping them up. Was just awesome, right? And I think Punisher, all in all, I was kind of worried, and it was something I forgot to bring up in the last episode, but I thought about it in between recordings with this, is that the Punisher plot went nowhere with the Punisher cops, and now it just
Right.
returns. It just returns, and I was like, okay, cool. Like because I think that was a plot line that we were both really bought into, especially in the first couple episodes. So I was all about it coming back in this episode and coming back like swinging. Like, oh, we did not forget about this at all. Where I thought it was something that got lost in the shuffle of the reshoots in the show, and it's something that looks like it's going to continue maybe even into the Punisher special, which would be awesome. Him just hunting down cops, whatever it's going to be. We'll talk about the post-credit scene later too, but Punisher, man, welcome addition. I love the brutality of the fight scene. I like the choice of slow motion because it wasn't to show like a badass fight, and it was, right? But it was more to show like this fight is brutal, and these two guys, like Daredevil still is a technician with that Billy Club, man.
Yeah.
He's ripping fools apart, regardless of if he's killing them or not. He's ripping through those cops. So that was fun to watch. It was an interesting little predicament they threw Cole North in. I think he's a character in the comics that is anti-vigilante, but is anti-Fisk very much too. Fisk even calls him in the comics, like, I see you're anti-vigilante. I want to hang out with you. And he just hangs up on Fisk. And I thought maybe it was going to be an interesting flip on it, that maybe Daredevil ends up killing Cole North.
Well, he
But
wanted
he doesn't.
to.
He wanted to, but he stays true to character there. Jumps out the window.
I liked Frank egging him on, like, come on, do it.
Yeah,
You know you want to do it. That was
just
that
being
was great,
the Palpatine on Anakin's shoulder right there. Do it. But yeah, I think Cole North is dead. I think he blew himself up. We didn't see a body.
I think he's
but
dead.
I would infer that he is pretty dead in that apartment.
He could be brought back, I guess. But like,
sure,
we don't need to.
And I don't think he's gonna get an arc built off of this. Where at first when I saw him in the show, I thought we were gonna get the kind of hero arc that he goes on in the comics, which is really interesting as a secondary side character to Daredevil. But I'm cool with it too. Like I don't think there was a place for him in the show. I think it was kind of a bummer to bring Cole North in as the character. It could have just been a cop that had that Punisher vest. But oh well, we got the resolution with him in that aspect. I thought the show was going to end with Karen. It was that packed after they jump out of the apartment and get down and Karen pulls up in the car with Punisher and
Mm,
Daredevil, I thought the show was going to end and we were going to go on the run. That's how it was only like 25 minutes in, but I felt like it was a full Disney Plus sized episode.
right.
And we have like half the episode left. So I was really impressed with just how much they crammed in here. Like it definitely did feel crammed, but I was bought in the whole way too. And I think it did a good job at tying off little things and setting up new things or building on what was there. Just all in all, like this was a fun episode, man.
Yeah, I'm
This
just
was
glad
a
I'm
really
glad
good
we got
time.
some sort of resolution, even though we didn't really get a lot because we're really building to season two. But like you said, we tied back to some plot threads that we picked up in episode one and two that we just like completely forgot about, like Foggy's death. At least
Right,
it came back, right? Like there was a reason for that to happen, not just to kill him up, just to like shock you, I guess, in the first episode, right? It actually, there
right.
was a reason, of Vanessa hiring Bullseye to kill him, and I like that scene where we have Vanessa going to jail to get Bullseye out and
Yeah,
tell convince him to do
heavily
it.
medicated. Yeah,
hmm all that, yeah. So I was just glad that some stuff actually came back. That Karen came back. Always happy to see her. I think we needed her back. I think this
absolutely.
show really
Yeah,
was missing a secondary character besides Daredevil that we actually cared about. Punisher is in that realm too, but again, he finally came back too. So yeah, I think all in all, we tied up a few things, or at least we made
yeah.
some stuff actually like be worth it from the first couple episodes, and then we're moving on.
I think Punisher's his own character without Daredevil, and Karen, like everybody's their own character, but Karen is very much a Daredevil side character, and we need
Yeah,
that 1A or that 2 character. I think Punisher maybe is more of a 1A, whereas Karen is that fulfilled 2 that we just needed in this show so badly. And that's why I said like they fit like a glove back in. Him and Karen start just bouncing off each other instantly, and it's like, yeah, she never left. She's Karen Page with a gun, man. She's the second best hero in the show. Like she's unstoppable. I'd be worried about her on the army. She immediately elevates the show. I don't think I've ever been happier to see her in an episode, just pulling up in the car, and of course she called Frank. Like it just fits, man.
yeah,
I think they wrote for as jam packed as this episode is and as action packed as it is. I think they wrote it with a lot of love and like care in mind for the characters, and that showed in moments like that. Karen, Matt, and Frank in Frank's little bunker, I thought was a cool scene too.
and
That they,
Karen and Punisher.
yeah, they acknowledge Crank. They
They've got
acknowledge Crank, Karen and Frank. They got the adrenaline
there's some
heartbeats,
sort
right?
of some sort of romantic tension between them, yeah. But then still with her and Matt too. So
Right. Well, I think it was
interesting.
funny. He says earlier, like, little aftershave and a haircut. You do that for me? Earlier
Right,
when he's in the
right.
apartment, and he's like, "Yeah, I did it for you, Red." And it's
Uh-huh.
instantly obvious who he did that for. But I think it's cool they just leaned into it because I think it's something that the fans wanted forever and just loved their chemistry as actors together. And you've seen them be in social settings together just as actors. Like they are great friends outside of the show. And so that was really cool to see them lean into it just a bit in this episode. It doesn't need to lead anywhere, but it's cool that it was acknowledged. I
Yeah.
love her telling him that she doesn't believe that he doesn't care
hmm
at the end, and him saying, be safe after she exits the room. Like his care for her is so pure. And I think they just nailed that dynamic as well. I think it's like, oh, the three, original three, some of the best characters that we had from the original show. Oh, they still fit. Oh my gosh, who
Yeah.
would have guessed?
Well, yeah, they're the best parts of this episode and probably the best parts of this series, honestly. Like
Yeah,
for me, anyways. And
yeah,
I think that just goes to show you
that's
that
very fair.
a lot of the rest of this season has just been like stuff that we kind of care about, but ultimately doesn't really matter. Like
Right.
the team we get at the end, which we'll talk about.
Hey,
And
it was fake. That's what
it's
Matt
right,
said.
exactly. I feel
He
like
said it
all
himself.
this has been fake, and that's exactly how I felt too. Like a lot of the stuff that's happened up to this point really does not fucking matter at all.
No.
Like we've had little bits that have led us to this, but a lot of the stuff has kind of just been like filler and just kind of stuff to just string us along until we finally got here.
Speaking of one of the guys I think maybe didn't matter at the beginning, but this little bastard's grown on me, this Daniel. I kind of like his scene sitting down with the city council members
No, I did like that. Yeah.
and him. Mayor Fisk cares deeply about the city council. And what was it, Buck? What was it? Oh, 540,000 euros stashed in a Swiss
Uh huh.
bank. That was awesome. I think that's where the the progression wasn't always smooth, but the place that they got Daniel at now is really cool.
No, I
And I
like
think
it.
he's a welcome addition to the show. I think he's very much become probably my favorite side character from season one that's going to continue of the new show. Um, I think the progression wasn't always smooth. Where he's at is a really cool spot. I think he's become not Michael Gandolfini. He's now become Daniel, the character. And that's pretty cool. I think it's become more than just a little cast of like, oh, it's Gandolfini's son. Like, what's he doing? He's become very much the Daniel character in this show. So good for him.
Yeah, his character's grown on me a little bit. I'm on record in our first episode or two
Yeah.
saying how I didn't really like his character, but he's grown on me. I'm definitely a lot happier with him now than I was in the beginning.
I think he's gonna play a good slime ball too, going into season two, like doing the little dirty. I think he relishes in impressing the kingpin. So him doing the little dirty work like that, like he's suited for it. And him, oh, it's not a threat, and just playing just kind of this smug kid who's definitely in over his head, but still is impressing his mayor, Mayor Fisk. Um, we get the little montage with the lights going out. Um, the cop shooting the kid and putting the vigilante mask on him.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
Like crazy little anecdote in this episode too. It's something that could easily again be forgotten, but it's just like, damn, like this. I think it was just a cool scene to show how corrupt this place is right
yeah.
now.
Well, I think that's what we've been missing in this episode is like just short, like impactful scenes like that add a lot to the world and a lot to the
Yeah,
narrative. But it's not like just sitting down and explaining this shit to you or throwing a bunch of stuff at you that really doesn't ultimately matter. I think that's what this is the kind of stuff we've been missing is like little scenes like
yeah,
that just to kind of give you more insight into like what like the ramifications of all this actually is, right? And like what this is looking like on a street level
yes,
versus like
yeah.
the bigger picture thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed that little part there.
I think they've been trying really hard to build an attachment to the street level with the BB report and stuff like this, but scenes like this speak volumes for
Yeah.
what's going on actually in New York City, Hell's Kitchen, New York City more at this time, definitely Manhattan. Um, but that's what we want to see. I think you said it perfectly. Like these are the ramifications of what's going on, the collateral damage in this basically two-man war
Mm-hmm.
between Fisk and Daredevil. Like it's the side bullets that bounce off them and go to somebody else. And this kid was looting, and I guess when the looting starts, the shooting starts for those cops. They they put the mask on him and move right along like it's nothing. Um, Speaking of other small scenes, avocados at law. Yeah,
Yeah, nice
it's a fun
callback.
nod. It's just a fun nod. We all love the first show, so it was so nice earlier in this episode, and then even into avocados at law. Like, dude, we're okay with the nostalgia. It's been
I mean, it's
eight
totally just
years
jammed right
or
in there,
seven
but
years,
it
right?
does its job. It does bring
It
back
does
some
its
fun
job.
memories.
It's the two right people to be talking about it. It feels like a conversation that they would actually have too, even though it is a nostalgia bait convo.
Yeah.
So I just liked it, man. Like we deserve a little bit of that, a
But
little bit
that
of
whole
fan service.
definitely, but that whole scene to me was just like exposition dump.
Right,
Like
right,
we just need to they're literally just like talking in exposition to each other to just
right,
catch us up on all like the legal things, why Foggy was,
dude.
why he was killed basically.
Couldn't you see Foggy though? Like, actually, it's a free port. I found this paper. That was such a
Well,
Foggy
I didn't know I was
defense
gonna have to learn so
of
much about maritime trade law in the fucking
right,
Daredevil finale. It's like, well, it's actually a free port, and there's this charter from 1850 or whatever. So technically, Fisk
right,
can do all his illegal shit legally in this. I'm like, of course, there's a fucking free port
right.
in fucking outside of New York City where Fisk can just do all this shit for legally, basically.
That's so fun to me because that's such a comic booky little
It's so
loophole,
comic booky. It's just so
and
like, what
I
can we
think it's
do? We
such
need
a
to make some
Foggy.
shit up.
It's such a Foggy defense that he would find that too and be like, actually, my client, and he was just doing it to defend his one little client there, not knowing that it was how Vanessa was getting across all of her business needs in Wilson's absence. But I just think it's just a hilarious picture to see Foggy in court in my mind with the little paper up there. Like, as you can see, I've submitted this motion about the Red Hook being a free port. So my client's innocent. And that's why he was drinking his O'Melvinies
Hmm.
and celebrating the win before he had it. Um, Obviously, yes, like that is the exposition dump. That's why Red Hook's been brought up so much this entire
We finally
season.
got
We
we finally
finally
it went
got
somewhere at
something.
least. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was happy about that, I guess, to
And so
because it
cool.
just kind of
Yeah.
felt really weird having that. It didn't feel like that was going to be like a main plot point throughout the season, though. So it's kind of funny that that's what we
Right.
ended up coming back to at the end.
It just felt like a place they were referencing forever.
Yeah.
For like, this is a place in New York. This is a place in our show. And then it's like, oh, this is the main point of a lot of what's been going on behind the scenes. Oh, okay. Cool. Punisher gets the call on the radio. We get another Punisher fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
We got the 2-for-1 special in this episode. Uh, brutalizing some cops again.
Yeah, fucking some shit up.
Um, just and I love them like don't no lethals, like we want to we want
Uh-huh.
to stun him, and they have their little clan meeting with the
Yeah.
Punisher with their shitty little spray painted Punisher logos.
Well,
They look so awful.
I'm really glad we got a scene like that because I was
Yeah,
really waiting for Frank to finally confront all the Punisher fanboys because he didn't really say
right.
much to
He just
Cole
called them
North,
bullshit fanboys.
right? Well, yeah,
Yeah,
when with Cole North in the apartment, he didn't really say anything to him. I thought he was gonna kind of like they were gonna have that scene there where he was gonna like kind of light him up about wearing the Punisher logo. But yeah, I was glad we at least got him to confront them and just basically say like, yeah, I wouldn't piss on fire to put you out, like that
yeah.
kind of shit. Like you're clowns, you're all clowns. Like, yeah, that was very Punisher. So I'm glad we finally got him confronting them.
I love Officer Powell. I think he's another good recurring character, and him just saying, we idolize you. Like it's just so they're like
And
they're
they
the
tried to
clan,
recruit
man.
him, right? They're
You're
like, you
right.
could do
You
everything
can
you
do
do with us.
everything. Yeah. I think it's just it's such a hilarious, like I was laughing for a bit of the scene because it's such a hilarious image with all them lined up in their
And
circle
their
with
shitty ass
and
logos.
it's a terrible logo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a terrible Punisher logo, but they love him. They love the
Uh-huh.
Punisher. And at first, him just being like, "Oh fuck me," like just he's just what the hell these guys. And I like that he doesn't give them like a big speech about like what the Punisher symbol stands for.
He just says, like, you
And
don't know my pain,
right,
right? Just a little thing.
right. It doesn't need to be a huge speech. And I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. Like
Uh-huh.
that's all he needs to say. That's the confrontation that I think was a cool natural confrontation and not like trying to say more about the real world where this plotline was kind of on the nose or very adjacent to real life, but
Definitely.
in a way that just paid off really well. And I think this is one of my like favorite little things that they've laced into this season finale, along with a lot of the Foggy stuff. I just really like the Punisher's inclusion in the episode, but his arc overall with these shitty cops.
I wish we had had more of that for like I wish that had been kind of a reoccurring thing in the
Absolutely.
season like we thought we were going to get because we had it in the first couple episodes. I thought that was going to be
Yeah.
like an arc for Frank to have throughout the season. So at least we kind of got some closure on it, but we kind of dropped off of that for like 4 or 5 episodes.
Well, I think after episode 4, yeah, we had the meeting with Punisher and Daredevil and this bullshit fanboys, and then
And that was it.
I don't have time for your hero shit, and he walks out, and that was such a missed opportunity, and then it ties back, and you're like, oh, of course, like that just fits, like
Mhm.
that should be capitalized on. So I hope they lead this into the Punisher movie, the little special that
The
they're going to do,
special.
because
Mhm.
I think it just fits so well still.
Yeah.
Just him going on a rampage, killing corrupt cops, like cool. I'll watch 40 minutes of that anytime,
Yeah.
however long they're going to make the special. I'm in for it. I was in anyways, but I'm in for this version of it as well. In the meantime, we get another little meeting where Mayor Kingpin meets up with Gallo and is very much aware of the recording that Commissioner Gallo made. We get a Game of Thrones style brutal scene
God.
um,
Like
with Fisk and Gallo
smushed his head, like pushed it from 2 different sides and like crushed it. Oh, that was fucked up.
just snapped like his jaw and his jaw
Yeah.
hanging out at the end of the scene.
Yeah.
Like absolutely brutal. I think it was cool to see like he uses that for fear and he's truly untouchable at this moment. I think in season 3 with the FBI and Fisk in the penthouse and you're realizing behind the scenes he's been untouchable.
Right.
It was really cool to have it be this mysterious plot line that unfolded. I think in this season it was really cool to see him just like opportunities present themselves and he's
Mhm.
just full force back into it.
He's just like,
I
fuck
think
it.
yeah,
Like,
that's
let's do
another
it,
cool way. Like I got all the cards. I'm in charge of this city now. Like
Mhm.
it's my city through and through. And I just think it's a really fitting and kind of a new direction for Kingpin and a new level of his power, while being very much in tune with the character. So I just thought that was just. I heard there was a scene that was more brutal than anything in the Netflix show or whatever, and when we saw it, we'd see it. I don't know if it's as brutal as the
Uh,
head smashing in the car door, but I'm glad that they're embracing in Daredevil tradition, just having some gruesome shit in this show because it's not what I come here to see, but it's a nice little addition in my Daredevil watching. As unpleasant as it is to watch somebody get their head crushed, it was kind of like a oh yeah moment,
right.
where you just felt again like the momentum from the like this show felt like it had so much more, or this episode felt like it had so much more momentum again from the Netflix show that it did from its own show. It felt like it was a building block of
Yeah, it felt like it's
1-8 and
taking a
Netflix.
bunch of stuff from the Netflix show where the rest of the season was, like you said, kind of trying to reference certain things, but also try to differentiate itself.
Yeah,
This episode really felt like it was tailing right off of the end of the actual Netflix
right.
show.
Well, and it's not trying really hard to be the Netflix show. I never felt like it was like going out of its way to be the Netflix show.
No,
It felt like it met a happy middle ground of like, we have the MCU angle of it now. We have the Netflix show's little influence and respect for that show, and we have a comic book side to it that probably hasn't been there before. And I think it's a cool marriage between the three of them that just makes me like, dude, I'm so excited for season two now. After
right.
this disjointed mess of a show, I'm season two's out March of next year. It's been confirmed already by everyone. They're filming it right now in New York. I think the cast, like you can see why D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox have been saying like, just trust us. Like we got some great guys on board now. This show's going to be what it needs to be. And I think we're leading into like a very natural street level event at some point too.
I think we're leading to some sort
That's
of
not going
event.
to be forced. We're leading into probably Devil's Reign event, which would be incredible in TV format. We'll talk about the army in just a bit. But maybe the defenders could be there. That'd be
Well, that's what I was thinking when
pretty
we said we
cool.
need an army.
But we get that scene right before them where Matt is talking to Karen. Um, for all the show, this is my favorite scene. Matt leaning up against the rock. You know, he's still recovering from being shot. He's on his last leg, really. And Karen telling him like, I think she's the only person in the world in this moment that could talk him down and talk him out of it. And she says, "Right, you will either die or you will kill someone." And Matt's sitting there when Karen's giving him the speech about rage and everything that's gone into her character through the seasons, and Matt's listening to the city in the background with that shot too.
Hmm.
And just the riots going on in the city. And I'm like, that's Daredevil, man. Like that nailed the character right on the head. So that's my favorite scene in the entire show. It gives me chills, him listening to the city and still listening to Karen intently too. Like that's the man. That's what Daredevil is. That's why we love him. And that was just a perfect scene for me.
Yeah, I liked all the Karen stuff in this episode. Like she felt like it's like the show sorely missed her, so I was really glad she was back. I thought it was a little silly just how that conversation took place, though. How they're
Right,
like,
just above the rocks.
right, they're like they get
Yeah.
all the way there, all the way to Kingpin's
It's
hideout,
like Sam and Frodo on the edge of Mordor. They're
right,
just
and Karen's in
crawling
like
up
high
there.
heels and a dress, like walking through like
Right.
all the rubble, and then they get there just for her to finally convince him not to go in. It's like, shouldn't we have had this conversation before we got to the
Right.
hideout? Like, why are we having it right outside? Like
Dude,
right
Karen
before he's
Page
about
with
to
a
go in.
gun. It
Yeah,
feels
but
almost like a video game cutscene in the setup. Like,
yes,
all right,
yes.
there's 24 guys and there's this and they're panning the camera, but that moment where he's talking that it's not alone, it's not dark, it's like 1,000 suns, and he's listening to the background of the city still. That the clunky setup to that scene was totally worth it. And I love that Karen's like the Samwise Gamgee here, just with him till his last leg. Like them being ripped apart does feel so forced in the show, and I know it's crazy to me that they were going to kill Foggy off screen and they were going to have Karen not be mentioned in the show whatsoever. That's gross.
Yeah,
And just having her back for this scene in particular was just again such a welcome addition. And then we need an army, and
we
then
need an army.
from there we get our montage. They recast young Daredevil. I don't think I needed to see that at all.
No, well,
I
obviously they're
think
not going to cast the same kid. He's like way
right.
older now. So
I just think I didn't need to see it. right? Like you didn't need to visualize that for me.
Yeah, it's just
You
him
could have
looking out
said
a
like
window. It's
when
nothing
I
even
was a kid,
happens.
right?
Yeah. I thought there was again, I'm like the needle drops in this episode were a little weird for me. I
Weird,
thought,
still weird.
especially with the Radiohead needle drop at the end. I'm like, what the fuck is a Radiohead
Every
song doing in the fucking
everything in its
Daredevil
right
show?
place or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's a cool song. It makes me think of Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. That's like the song that plays over the. Have you ever seen that movie, Vanilla Sky? It's
no.
great, amazing movie. But there's this scene in the beginning. It's like a really weird, trippy kind of sci-fi movie. But there's a scene in the beginning where Tom Cruise is walking through Times Square and it's completely empty. Like he's the only person there, and it's really like, kind of creepy and eerie. And that song's playing over it, and I was like, "Why? What the fuck is this doing in the Daredevil
Yeah,
show?" It did not
random.
fit at all, but it was just kind of funny. I was like, "Are they really playing this song right now? Like,
Well,
whose
I think
idea was this?"
one thing that I think, and this might be bold, I think the score in this season is better than the whole score of the original show. I think the score in the original show, like the theme, is iconic, and
Hmm.
the theme is better. I think season 3 has probably the best score out of all the shows, and I've been re-listening to them because I like to listen to scores when I read comics. This might have the best Daredevil score all in all.
Okay.
I really like what the Newton brothers did here, so I think like in that moment you can let the score speak for itself. Like we
Yeah,
have a really good score,
I would much rather have like a Daredevil score, like the
right?
music of the show, than a fucking Radiohead needle
Right.
drop at like the end of the big climactic like montage at the end.
It felt so much like they were trying to do like the Batman thing
Yeah, like
with
there's
something
something
in
in
the
the
way
way.
and the
Definitely,
narration over it too. I
that's what
was
I
like,
was
okay,
thinking
like
too.
if you're gonna pick something to be influenced from, not a bad pick, but just maybe bad placement for it here at the end of the season. Um, Heather signs on with Fisk. Fisk enacts his curfew, 8 p.m., which is lame. Commissioner Gallo resigned. The
Right.
power grid was sabotaged. The Safer Streets Initiative is out. No more vigilantes. And I thought the show ended again with "I Love New York," and
That's
I
where
was
I
like,
thought it
"That's
was
that's
ending.
such a great ending, dude.
Uh-huh.
That is such a great ending." And sorry, the
And then he kind
montage
of
is right
takes a
after
beat.
that,
He takes a beat right after that where he says, "I love New York," and then he just like
and
stares at
it
the
goes to
camera.
black just barely. I love
Yeah.
it. I liked the montage all in all. I think it was weird, but I was fine
I
with it.
think we
Like
needed a montage at the
I
end to
think
kind
so
of
too.
give us like the let us know where everyone is at the end of the episode sort of thing.
I think it would have been an all-time episode though if they ended with the "I Love New York" and it's like season one's over.
Yeah,
That
that
would
would have
go
been a
that
great
would go
ending.
so hard.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
and just the little extra beat, like I almost got up afterwards and was like, all right, cool.
Hmm.
And we get the what we just talked about with the Radiohead drop. Um, we get the army. So it's Cherry, it's Karen. Karen's lethal. Karen's by far the second in command in this army. Karen Page with a gun is not to be
The
fucked with.
Punisher will be joining at some point, but yeah.
Yes. And we get the Asian cop who they keep trying to remind us is in the show. I
Yep.
think she's fine in the show. I just don't think like she's been written into it
It's
at
just
all. I don't
all the hero
I don't
shots of everybody in the bar.
right.
It's so
Well,
funny.
and Cherry's like
It's Cherry, bro.
in the
Like
shot.
staring like Cherry's
Well,
about to do
and he just
anything.
like he kind
And
of
then it's
looks
like a
around like
fucking hero shot of the bartender.
Josie.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And Josie just, she's raggedy. That's how she's supposed to look in the show. She's just
But I'm like, oh yeah, good thing we got the bartender on the team. We needed her.
I thought the defenders were gonna be there. I thought it was gonna be Luke Cage, Iron Fist,
That's
and
what I was
Jessica
thinking
Jones.
too. I was like,
I
oh,
was going to
defenders.
lose my shit. They kept it under wraps. Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't, and that's okay because I do think they're
It
coming
also would
down
have
the
felt
line.
out of place, I think.
I think they're coming down the line. I'm excited to see them when they do come. I think it'll be a missed opportunity because I think that's what they're setting up for. That's what the natural progression seems to be. If you're familiar with the Netflix shows, if you're familiar with Marvel Comics, if you're familiar with Daredevil, like that's where the next step is at some point. So
Hmm.
I really hope they can make that happen because I think again, like all the casting is there already. I'd
But
love to see Iron Fist get another redemption
they're
arc
probably gonna
there.
do a new Iron Fist, I would say. They'll probably
I would love to
recast
see
that
him
role.
get a bit of redemption. I think Luke Cage would love to see him back, and Jessica Jones. You
Yeah.
cannot recast her.
Oh, Kristen
Um,
Ritter. Yeah, iconic
so
in that role.
I would love if like Hawkeye got added into it. I'd love if Spider-Man did, but he's
Some
not
more
going
street
to
level
for
heroes.
rights issues.
Yeah, they won't do
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
They said something about like Spider-Man's stock is falling or some shit. Like he's
Uh
our boys lost his touch because and that's because of Sony. It's not because of Tom Holland are probably the director's choice in this. I think if they could have Spider-Man, they absolutely would. I think it's just he's at a weird place in the Marvel universe to begin with, and
Well, I don't
then
think they would
we have
water
the
down the
Sony
Spider-Man
stuff.
brand by putting him in a Disney Plus show as like a side
Right,
character.
right. And I think that kind of sucks because I think that's what Disney Plus could be and
Right,
should
well,
be
that's the whole point
almost.
of the MCU,
Is
right? Is
right,
this sandbox
right.
where you can just put characters in here and there with like
Yeah.
comics. Like that's how it's supposed to work. But they're
And I
like, well,
think
we're not going to put him in a fucking TV show. Are
and
you
he
crazy?
fits right in. He
he
fits
would he
right
would
in.
fit in,
So
yeah.
that's what's kind of a bummer about it is I think him and Daredevil has some truly amazing interactions on a like similar to Daredevil and Punishers, but totally different as well. Like the sentiment's similar in two heroes, but it's a totally different side of Daredevil that's being explored through Spider-Man. I would like to see it, so we're never gonna get it. I'm not gonna get my hopes up for that. I will get my hopes up for Defenders. Cherry is gonna die so fast, man,
Please.
so fast in season two. Um, it was like Mike Trout on the Angels, Daredevil there, like he's got a crap
Right.
team
Yeah,
there.
I saw
It's,
some
it's
tweet
Allen
that
Iverson on the Sixers
I saw a
against the
tweet
Lakers.
yesterday that said, he said we're gonna assemble an army, and then he showed me the worst fucking team I could have
The,
possibly imagined.
the worst roster.
Yeah,
It was like, oh my
bunch of
God, look at my
nobodies.
team. It was like the kid, when they try and balance out the teams in dodgeball or something in PE, like he got dealt a terrible
But
hand
I
there.
think the Punisher will be joining the team at some point.
Yeah, I think so. So that cuts into Fisk and the swordsman's in one of the cages. Fisk has a
Dude,
little
okay,
trophy case
I want to
with
talk about that
Vanessa.
scene.
Okay, go ahead. Go
That
ahead.
was kind of weird to me. Just that to me felt
Them in
like
cages?
it felt so reminiscent of like, first of all, why doesn't he just kill all these people? He fucking has them in
Right,
cages so they
right,
can like come back
right.
later. It felt to me
It's his
like the
trophies though.
it felt like the post credit scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he's walking through the hall of like
Oh,
all the shit behind him that you're never
good
actually gonna
pull.
see.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. It was just like show us all this stuff in like its own separate box kind of thing. The vulture wings and the Doc Ock arms and whatever. And then,
Great pull.
yeah, that's
Um,
immediately what that felt like.
I think it was I think it's interesting to like have him have the people in the cages.
She sounds like a zoo of all his
Because it's
fucking
like it's
enemies.
his zoo, it's his
His
trophy case.
trophy
Like,
room,
okay,
yeah.
he gives a very genuine but like so uncomfortable smile with Vanessa clinking the glass.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more interesting, like to end Fisk with "I Love New York" and to maybe not have him and Vanessa in that final scene,
Yeah, I
and to
didn't
just
need
have
that.
just maybe have the heroes in cages because I know you got to set up the post credit scene perhaps.
Well,
But
you didn't really need that either.
and I like the post credit scene, but we didn't need that. I think it
No.
would have been really cool to end it. I think we need a Daredevil moment at the end, but I like my version in my head where it
No,
ends
I
with
like that too.
I love New York." Like
Hmm.
that was just such a perfect ending that I thought it was too good. Like I thought that was the ending. It was just too good.
Yeah.
We get the post credit scene. We get a good shot of Daredevil through Josie's bar, with the red light and like I think it's them very much saying with everything in its right place, um, that we are back, and it's them like really trying to
It's like get
show
hyped
us
for season
that
two. This is
hey,
gonna be the real season
it's
that you want.
coming.
Uh-huh.
So I appreciate that they did that. It's a clunky scene all in all, but I think it's a scene that does get me more excited for season two at the same time. And it does like promise. It's so weird. This show's been such a mess. And I'm just glad we ended on the
That
on
that was
two
like my
feet
main
almost
gripe
here.
was like, don't say we're getting an army and then show me the fucking D team or whatever. Like, what the
Right.
fuck?
Right.
That was
Could
my
you
main
you
gripe.
know the scene from Deadpool 2 where they all parachute in?
Yeah, and they all die
That would be them.
immediately.
That would be them like getting decapitated, getting hit by buses, like
Yeah.
the electric fence. That would be Cherry and the gang there. Grapple, and then Karen would be like Domino, where she just has plot armor.
Right.
You can't mess with Karen Page. But oh well, they gave a slow motion shot of Bullseye too, where it was him fixing his stuff in his apartment.
Oh,
I was like,
right.
okay, cool. Like that's where he ends up at. They give a slow mo shot of Buck, and he's just loading up his gun, ready for season
Everyone
two.
gets their moment at the
Everyone
end.
gets, and I do appreciate them just trying to incorporate the other characters in the show because they're in the show, so they should be in the show. So I appreciate that they gave everybody something to do in this last episode. And I think setting up some people, I think especially like I'm not interested in Sheila's plotline all that much, but I think like for her 5 to 10 lines an episode next year, I'll be much more bought in because of how they've portrayed her here. And having someone on Fisk's side like Daniel is a necessity to me. And I think he's better than Buck out of the
He has
two
more
because
to
I think
do for sure.
Buck is just so Wesley adjacent that I just want Wesley
Yeah,
when I see him.
right.
I don't need British Wesley. Like, I'm fine with Buck. I just don't have
But
any care
Wesley
in the
was like
world for him.
Fisk's friend too. Like his
Right.
character had some depth. Buck is just like, yeah, Wesley light, basically. Just like
Right.
it's supposed to remind you of that, but he doesn't have
You know
any of
why
the
I brought
depth.
you in? You're so good at your job. You assassinate people. Like that's it's like okay, dude,
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm not mad at Buck. I don't have much feelings towards him. So
But then
I'm
we get
cool with
Heather Glenn.
Daniel getting that.
We get Heather
Heather
Glenn at the
Glenn.
end, right? Joining up with Kingpin, even though she's not really like, she doesn't see him for what he actually is. She's very naive, I think. She,
Yeah.
for some reason, is still seeing him as like the mayor, as like not the Kingpin. And Matt keeps trying to warn her about it. But yeah, she
She's
ends up,
anti-vigilante.
yeah, she is anti vigilante. That's true. But yeah, she ends up accepting a job in his cabinet as like his mental health leader of mental health or
Right.
something. So yeah, I
Right.
wonder what's going to happen with
Commissioner
that.
of mental health.
Hmm.
When he said commissioner, could you imagine she's new police commissioner? He plays the Gallo. Um, yeah, I wonder if that's the end of her story or if she's barely pops up. I think there's three routes. Like it can be the end of her story, she can barely pop up, or you can go like full Typhoid Mary and twist that character into her in season two with the mental health stuff. So I don't know. Like I'm open to all three. I like Margarita Leveritza's performance as
Hmm.
Heather. I think she did the most that she could with what she was
With
given.
very little.
Very
She was
little.
given
So
very little.
she made a bit of an impact on this show, just a bit, right? And it was probably the most impact that she could have made. So, um, they say Matt Murdock's blind. He picks up chicks like this. He's not blind. There's got to be no way, right? Um, I think she did the most that she could again. So I'd be fine giving her a run around in season two, giving her a second chance.
I
I
think she'll
think
have something to
I
do.
think her and Matt need to be done. Just
Yeah,
for both their sakes. I want to see Matt and Karen on the run. Like
yeah,
that is so cool to me.
me too.
So yeah, overall thoughts. I
We
really
get the
enjoyed this episode.
post credit scene from
Oh, the
Punisher
post
if you want
credit
to talk about
scene.
that.
Uh, yeah. Do you know what was the
That
officer's
cop is
name?
such a fucking idiot,
Right,
dude. What are you
such an idiot.
thinking? Of course
Yeah.
don't shake his head. Are you stupid?
Do you know me? Yeah, you know me a bit.
Uh-huh.
Like just working
But
him the
yeah,
whole,
just working
and
because he
then
knows they're all such big
hey,
fanboys.
I appreciate you for taking the time. Breaks his wrist and his arm
Uh-huh. And
in in
ostensibly, I
two
think takes the
places.
keys from him and
I think
escapes.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're meant to
And
think.
so Punisher was locked up for, I don't know, 10 hours.
Yeah.
Um, as he should be. Like he should be out on the loose chasing up these dirty
You know what
cops.
I was thinking about during that scene is like everyone else in the trophy room is just like listening to Frank,
What the
just
fuck?
like
Yeah,
sweet
yeah.
talking this guy, then breaking his arm and breaking out like he's just gonna. Is he gonna let everyone else out? Is he gonna
Right.
build his
Oh,
own
he's
team with
not.
all those
He's
guys? Or
absolutely not, right?
no, I think he's just
I
gonna
wouldn't think
get
so.
himself. Yeah,
I would love to just see how that scene plays out where like he's just like he'd be whistling walking out or whatever, like with the
yeah.
key. And then just like, all right, boys, so
Just
long.
walking past
Like,
swordsmen and all the. Who else did he have in the
right.
cages? He had swordsmen. Who else did he have in there?
Just it was just a bunch of political people I
I'm trying
felt
to
too. I think it
remember.
was a bunch of his I don't think there was anybody that I noticed that was noticeable to me or set up
We were
really.
supposed to know all of the characters though, right?
Were we?
I think
I
so.
don't think so. I think I kind of implied it. There are some people in suits, especially too, and I was like, oh, it's his political adversaries
Hmm.
too, where he's just like, he probably did the same thing as a cop, like, oh, they're a vigilante, look, ski mask man. So
Maybe I have to go back and
okay.
look at that again. But yeah,
Yeah,
overall, I think this episode was pretty strong. I think it was the best ending we could have gotten, honestly. I think last
yeah,
week I was really worried about how we were going to end it. But I'm pretty happy with where we ended it. We're building full force to season two. We wrapped up season one. I think this is kind of an admission of we know season one wasn't the best, but we're bringing back a lot
yeah,
of the elements that we probably should have from the jump, and we're trying to end as strongly as we can, tie up some loose ends, and the kind of at least let you know like what our overarching idea was for this season, and then just a
right.
springboard into season two.
I think it takes a lot of balls from the new directors to just course correct with 1, 8, and 9. Like that's
Right.
pretty I really respect them for that. Just taking like they swung. They did not hold back in these like I know it was kind of an order from the top to have Foggy killed, but they killed Foggy. They brought Bullseye in, who was not going to be in the show. They got Punisher in the show, who was not going to be in the show. They brought Karen in the show, who was not going to be in the show. And like it makes sense, but it also was a big swing compared to the middle 6 episodes, 2 through 7 there. So I really respect that they very much did commit to like we are course correcting. We are uh, very much aware that we are course correcting, and just stick with us because we hope you think that we got it in the right hands. We think we did, and we want to continue with the show. You can feel their love for the characters in their writing in the 3 episodes that they did, I thought. And all in all, I'm more bought into this version of the show because I like the White Tiger stuff, which was the original show. I like the Muse stuff, which was gonna lead nowhere from the original show. It was gonna be a Freak of the Week stuff. I don't need Freak of the Week Daredevil. That's not what I come to Daredevil for. I like the long, the slow knife, right? The long
Hmm.
plot that gets in there. I like the cheesy Freeport stuff because it's like, okay, it's clever. It fits everything that's going on right now. Um, I don't need the writers of the bad seasons of the CW and the writers of like the bad seasons of Law and Order or whatever like drama show on CBS. I don't need them writing my Daredevil. Like I don't I'm just not a fan of that. And I think it's crazy that they had these two in-house. These two guys were in-house, Benson and
Right.
Moorhead, right? And Dario Scardenapane, however you say his last name. Um, they were on like, and then you look, it's like, oh, they were on the good episodes of Loki, and they were on the episodes of Moon Knight where they needed to tie some things up with Moon Knight and course correct that show a bit too. And so I really respect them for being able to step up to the plate in these situations. Like I hope they don't have to fix anything in the future. I hope they can just make their own show because
Yeah.
they very much deserve to. Um, course correction, I've said that already. I like the very personal stakes that even a higher level. I think this show had stakes in episodes 1, 8, and 9. And I think the White Tiger trial did as well, but I think in between it just lost its stakes. It felt just kind of like it was going through the motions. I get that we were in an awkward place no matter what, bringing Daredevil back because it was 7 years, and where do we pick up after 7 years? Um, but 6 episodes of him not being Daredevil, kind of like a punch in the gut. I know that was the plot they wanted to tell. I understand why it was there, but we want a Daredevil show for Daredevil at this point. We've been through these motions before. We've had it at the end of season 2 into Defenders, where he stopped being Daredevil and Defenders kind of brings him back and starts that spiral into season 3 excellently. So I'm bought in. I think it's crazy after season 1 to be the ride that we went through. How excited I am for season 2. I didn't know if I would be here. I'm kind of interested that Fisk has in his back pocket still Matt Murdock's identity.
Right.
So I
I
think
thought he was going to reveal that.
right,
I thought when he
and
was
we
talking to
talked about
Buck,
that extensively, right?
yeah,
About um
I thought when he was talking to Buck, when he said, I would be ashamed if our lawyer succumbed to his injuries, I thought he was going to be like, it would be a shame if, his identity was released, basically. I thought that was going to
right,
be the scene
right.
where we got that. So, yeah, interesting that he's still keeping that card. He hasn't
I
played it yet.
thought that might have been a part of his final speech too, in
Mm,
front of the camera, like the vigilante known as Daredevil, Matt Murdock. He's his number
hmm.
one most wanted, and they'll be very personal and vindictive. And I think we've seen now that there's no line that Fisk will not cross. And I think like this show gave us a reminder of that. Really, with I just love him saying to Vanessa, opportunities arise. Like I ran to fix this city, I did, but opportunities present themselves,
Uh-huh.
and I'm the kingpin. Like
Right.
just full on slipping into it and reminding us who he is,
Hmm.
showing out. I think for all the stuff with Karen Page and Punisher being included in this episode, and that's what we love. That's what we love to have back. I think D'Onofrio gives like a sneakily incredible performance in this episode just because he's not the first billing and the first maybe reason you're in this episode because he's in the other 8. But I think this was the best episode with him of this year. I like the Mayor Fist stuff in episode 4 a lot with the we built this city and the little trope and him going through his day and how do we get to the first step. But him just flipping the switch in this episode was awesome. I'm interested to see what he does as mayor because he's declared it basically a state of emergency. He very much does run New York. I like how much power they give him, and just leniency with the ridiculousness of the show. Um, I think we need a little bit of that, like we're taking over New York City from Fisk. Like, okay,
Yeah.
that's insane, but it's a comic book show, and I bought it every step of the way, and I don't have any gripes with it. So the new directors are really ambitious. Um, I love Daredevil. I just want a good Daredevil show, man. I think that's why what we were battling for this whole season is like we were so up and down because the show was so up and down, and we just want a good show with our guy, and we want to be excited about things week to week. And I kind of lost that week to week excitement around episode 6, 7. Um, and now next March can't come soon enough for me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely excited going into season 2. Like I already said, this was probably the best ending we could have gotten. It's a springboard into season 2. And yeah, I'm just excited to see where we go next. I'm definitely looking forward to like having some real stakes, like you said. I think we have some real
Yes.
stakes here. It's us versus Kingpin. He's taking over New York. We need to stop him. Like that is like a
Personal
superhero
stakes.
plot,
Yeah.
but also while still being personal in the vein of Daredevil. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to see where we go.
It's personal at like a higher level, at the highest level they could put these two characters in. It's leading towards the Devil's Reign type event where vigilantes are outlawed and end up fighting against Fisk and his task force. Um, but yeah, it's nice to have stakes in the Marvel universe. I think we miss them so much, and I think we can't have stakes unless the world's ending or everything's collapsing. And it's nice to just have like a city, and that's the stakes. Like it is grand scale for New York City right now, but it's on a level that's also so personal that's like this is all we want. Like we just want some some tension with our characters when they're on screen. We want a story where maybe the villain does kind of win at the end of this season. And it was just cool. I'm fully on board. Through the ups and downs this season, through the gross choices made from Marvel, who deserves no credit for the success of the season whatsoever. I guess besides maybe knowing when to pull the plug, I don't think Marvel as a studio deserves any credit for the great work of both teams. And a show that was conflicted with itself for a lot of the time. We kind of landed on 2 feet here, and I'm pretty surprised by it. And yeah, I just again next March can't come soon enough. Bring me season 2, man.